G'day and welcome to Aussievision and welcome to our first national final preview show of all the action happening this weekend. We've got two big countries deciding who's going to go to Eurovision, Ireland and Luxembourg, and we're going to go through some of the favourites and some of the other talking points with our wonderful team from Aussievision, Samuel, Hayley and Craig. All right, folks, let's start with Ireland because they are on Friday night in Europe, Saturday morning in Australia. There's a lot of love for a particular song, which is Ailsha. Anyway, someone will say that better than me. With Go to Barn, fans are going nuts for this. They love it. It's second in the odds. Samuel, what do you think of this entry and can it win?
Yeah, well, I think it's my personal favorite as well. So it translates to Suddenly in English, and it's a Celtic metal track. And as someone that loves Celtic music and doesn't mind a bit of rock music, it's sort of the perfect thing. And I really think it has a good chance. It is, as you said, favorite in a lot of the fan polls we've come across. It was the favorite with the Aussievision team. It was the early favorite with the bookies, but has drifted out to second. I think the caveat is whether she can sing and the staging because it's such a unique genre, I think. So that's very important to watch. But I really want Ireland to send something very unique and also very native. So I'm definitely rooting for it all the way.
Craig, what do you think?
So I'm trying to hold a couple of conflicting thoughts in my head about this one. I think there's a narrative that Ireland goes a bit too safe, and so everyone's very excited this year that they've picked some things that don't seem quite so safe in the national final. But on the other hand, there's always a bit of risk with this sort of thing. And when I first heard Ailsha, I was a bit like, what is this? This is a lot of noise. But then I've listened to it a bunch in the weeks since, and it has grown on me. And I think it's finally clicked. And I enjoy the sort of, disparate elements which are going there. I think the message is cool. It's about the, the loss of the Irish language and the sort of gradual shift to English that's happened in Ireland. And so I think that's a really, fun and important message to convey. But I just have a sense that it's going to get to Saturday morning and it might be a bit of a mess. And I really don't want to say that. And I really would love this to be great because I think it would do a good job if it made it. But, it's a tiny little TV studio in Ireland. We've seen less risky things than this go bad. And so I just have a bit of a worry about whether it's actually going to prove competitive on the night.
Hayley?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm a bit concerned about the size of the studio. This song sounds big to me. It's baby metal, it's crazy, it's manic. I think it's the song Ireland should send and do a risk. I don't feel it is safe at all, but I'm super concerned about how it may come across on a tiny little studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is I think all the concerns, all the reasons people love it and all the concerns are so valid. And I think you're right, like what you said, Craig, there is that everyone's so obsessed with Ireland not sending anything safe because, we all know what's happened, right? But it kind of feels like when someone breaks up with somebody because they're a bit boring and then they decide to go on this night out and they get excited and they go with some really wild, random dude. And then they wake up the next morning and go, what was that? And I feel like everyone's having that now a bit of a week later and going, how is this going to work at Eurosong? How is this going to work on that tiny stage? Can she actually perform it? And for me personally, maybe this is when I've got to that certain age, but this sounded like noise to me. It was so overproduced because I think there's some magic in there, but I just wish they paired it. They just take 4 or 5 things off it. I can barely get the good bits within it, but I love the Irishness in there. I like the risk, and I hope somehow it comes together. But I, like all of you, I have my doubts about it actually winning.
Something else I think it's worth saying, I think the studio track is actually quite poorly mixed. And so like the vocal track is very low compared to the instrumental. And so I'm wondering if maybe possibly the positive take is when we see a different version of it where the vocal line is a bit higher and we can hear her a bit better. Maybe it actually that will help it. I don't know. But I think the studio track, there's definitely the noise impression comes from the mixing more than I think the elements themselves.
Yeah, I was thinking it might be something like that. So maybe the live will be they're great. We'll see. All right, so let's go on to the other one, which is again a little bit of a risky song. Second kind of favorite with the Aussievision team. It's third in the odds. It's Bambie Thug. Now, Hayley, you're a bit of a fan of this song, aren't you?
I love it. The first time I heard it, that instant bass, I loved it. And then all of a sudden it goes to the chorus where it's almost a totally different song. But for some people, I wonder if that might be a bit jarring. But it's noisy, it's bassy. I think the aesthetic, just from looking at pictures of her, is going to be out of this world, and this would be a huge risk. I maybe, yeah, I'm not sure it's the right thing to do, but I would like to see Ireland give it a go.
Samuel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think like with Ailsha, would be a big risk, and that's also why I think it is good to send it. I want Ireland to send something different. I'm sick of boring pop songs. I want to see them sort of take a risk, and sort of a late night goth pop song sounds really cool. The artist is non-binary as well. I think it'd be really great representation of the queer community in Ireland. But having said that, it is a little bit of a noise fest for me in certain parts, actually. But having said that, it is my second favorite, and I really hope it does well in the national final.
Craig?
Another grower for me. The first time I heard this, it's very sort of reminds me a bit of Aminata back in the day, where you've got these quite quiet versy sections, or then there's a very loud bit, and then the chorus goes back to being quite quiet. And I think that sort of like peaks and troughs can work really well live. But again, Hayley mentioned, sort of the aesthetic here, and I'm just sort of struggling to picture this, going on after Linda Martin and before the peanut butter giveaway sort of thing. Because it's just like, if I just don't know if I trust this Irish national final format to be able to do justice to something like this. I think it's a good song. I enjoy it. If it does end up being presented really well, then I'm here for it, and I want to see it go to Eurovision. But I'm a bit anxious. I'm a bit worried.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit. I don't really get this song, right? I get it in terms of like, yes, okay, it's loud, it's soft, and actually the transitions between the two aren't bad. Actually, I think the way they've done it are quite good. But there's peaks and troughs, but they just give away it all in the first minute, and that's the song. Like peaks and troughs are great there for building and whatever, and it's just like going up and down in a car, and I'm just bored with it by the end of it. And I think what would make me love it, certainly not in the studio, would be some dramatic staging that may give a different elements to each of those kind of 3 or 4 sections. But like, again, we have this problem of the Late Late Show of not being able to show it off in that kind of big stage thing. I just feel like it's going to just not work, but maybe that's just a personal choice.
Do you think there's a TikTok element sort of there? Well, because what you said about, there's like 1 minute of a really good song here and then 2 minutes afterwards. That's not an uncommon thing in the last couple of years. And I'm wondering if it's the impact of social media where, you're not really going for the full 3 minutes. You're going for someone to listen to like 30 seconds on TikTok. So I don't know. Maybe that's what's happening there.
Well, number one, I didn't say it was really good. I said it was okay.
I like it. I think it's really good.
But no, you're right.
I will say that.
You are right. You're totally right. It is about those sections, and then actually it's all about repetitiveness and simplicity. You want something that's going to stay with you. But I think sometimes people can take it over the top, and that feels it now. But maybe live it'll feel a bit better. But again, good for a risk. But yeah, Hayley?
Just in saying about that 1 minute thing, I do wonder though if sometimes maybe people have already made their decision on, wow, this is going on my list of songs I like in the first minute anyway.
True. I guess you never know how things feel in that in a run of all those songs together in a show like that, and how it feels at that certain time as well. So it's all going to be about the live, as always with these songs. It doesn't seem to be a massive standout, but in the odds, randomly, I was quite surprised to see how much of a heavy favorite this is in the odds. Not that they're always right, but Erica-Cody with Love Me Like I Do is the heavy odds favorite. Samuel, why do you reckon that is?
Well, I think because she's a relatively established artist in Ireland compared to the rest of them. She actually has the most Instagram followers of all the acts by quite a margin. She took part in their Dancing with the Stars a couple of years ago. And when the Black Lives Matter thing was very prominent, she was one of the leading celebrities leading the protests in Dublin. So I think maybe that's why there is some excitement about her. I personally feel like her song, it's all right. I'd say a bit generic. And I think, as we've sort of discussed, like out of the sort of safe options is probably the best one, I think. It's very radio friendly. But having said that, again, I want Ireland to be a bit daring this time and, take a risk. So yeah, I think I can kind of understand why the bookies think she's doing well given her status and also the radio friendly nature of her song. But we'll see whether that comes to fruition on Friday.
Hayley, what do you think about Erica?
Yeah, everything Samuel just said, I agree with. I'm really concerned it's too safe. It is a super likable song, but when I heard it, I thought that's a nice song. I really want Ireland to just make a big risk and go for it. I'm not sure this is the right song.
Craig?
So my theory on the odds is that these national final odds can often only have about like 10 people betting on them. And so like, if one person has placed a really big bet on Erica-Cody, that might be enough to push her up to the top. And so like, I think there's been a bit of volatility in the odds in this one over the last week or so. And so I don't know if I'm necessarily placing her as the favorite just because she's top of the odds right now, because it might be different. But ultimately, as for this one, I think it's nice. I enjoy it. I have it on a playlist. But if Brooke couldn't qualify in 2022, I see no reason why this is going to qualify in 2024. And, even if I have my doubts about Ailsha and Bambie Thug, I think they're worth taking a punt on because I just don't see how this is going to do better than things they've sent in the past.
Yeah, personally, this was my 12 points, but it was not an enthusiastic 12 points. And that was on a personal taste level, not about who I think should go for Ireland. I thought she got a really interesting vocal tone, and I think if she performs it really well, it could come together. But I was thinking the same thing when I was listening back to it again today. It's just not as good as Brooke was. And so where's the risk in taking that? But we've often seen a Eurosong, the kind of established artist who can do a good enough performance on that stage gets through a lot of the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if she takes it out. I think she'd do a good job, but I think she'd need some weird things happen in semi-finals to get through. So that's our odds favorite. Now, just touching on the rest here, there's been quite the story about the boy band, next in line, I think they're called, right? Craig, do you have strong feelings about this?
I think people might have slightly too strong feelings on the song because I don't think the song is actually like that hateful. Whereas if you looked on the internet right now, you would think that like they killed your puppy or something. But like I think the risk here is that like it is actually not that bad to listen to. And so if they sort of show up on the night and do a decent enough performance and they're likable, then like there's this could very easily win. Also, Louis Walsh appears to have pushed them onto every morning television program in Ireland for the last week. So it's not unpleasant. I don't dislike listening to it. I've heard it a couple times now. But again, if Wild Youth didn't qualify, why is this going to qualify? And the definition of madness is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Don't do that. And that's all I've got to say.
Hayley.
Yeah, don't do that. I think sending the boy band, and they look like lovely boys and it's a nice song, but it's too safe, it's too beige. Send one of the girls. That's all I have to say about that.
Any thoughts, Samuel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have a lot of respect for Louis Walsh as a manager. He used to manage, Johnny Logan and Linda Martin back when they would have great Eurovision success. But, he did also manage Brendan Murray, who represented Ireland 2017, and that didn't go so well. I think Louis is a bit past his time. He's already retired from the X Factor, so I don't think he needs to do, Ireland Eurovision again. Yes, and again, like, I don't know. I have a weird feeling that this might do really well. I just see sort of Irish people just loving this for some reason, and the jury. But let's hopefully maybe I'll be proven wrong. Yeah.
Look, yeah, I'm not I kind of agree. The song is not awful. It's fine. I think everyone's really rebelling against this because it's such a pinpoint of what everything Ireland's been doing wrong. I think the slight controversial thing I'll say here is if they are the best of the safe, if they perform it well and get chosen, the only thing I'll say compared to maybe the Erica-Cody is there's an actual market they can target. So there's actually some people who will like this. They are not us on the screen here. Do they tune into a semi-final? Maybe, maybe not. But at least there's someone they can go after for a public vote. Do I think it'll work out? Do I think they should do it? No. But if the other two crazy ones are a mess, maybe this would be actually the best bet, even though it's repeating the same. And let's face it, Wild Youth could have done a lot better if it wasn't for that horrible staging and that terrifying performance. So it actually wasn't as bad as I think that song as the staging was. Just quickly touching on Isabella Coney. She's an Aussie competing over in Eurosong for Ireland. Quite distant in the odds. I thought it was a nice enough song, all fine, but I don't see this having a chance, but great to have an Australian there. Anyone have any views on Isabella?
I like it more than Erica-Cody. I think I enjoyed it more, but I don't know if that's saying a great deal. I think they're kind of the same song delivered two different ways, and I just happen to like this one slightly more. But yeah, I don't. Everything I said for Erica-Cody, copy and paste.
Yep. All right. Well, let's leave Ireland there. Oh, before actually, I want a prediction. You have to say one. Who is going to win? You can only say one artist. Not who you want, who you think. Samuel, who is going to win Eurosong from?
You know what? I'm going to stick my neck out there. I'm going to say Ailsha.
Ailsha?
Fingers crossed.
Hayley?
Bambie Thug.
Bambie Thug? Craig?
I'm going to be that guy and say next in line.
Oh, I kind of want to say it too. No, I'm going to say Erica's going to do a good vocal and a good song and be the vanilla that actually works, and everything else is going to be out of taste. I'll go with Erica. So, look, we've got 4 different songs there. We should cover our bases. Something will win from that, hopefully. All right, well, let's move on to Luxembourg here. And at the moment, in the odds and with the Aussievision votes, it's a bit of a 2-horse race, it seems, between Crick and Tali. Let's start with your Aussievision favourite from this, which was Tali with Fighter. Samuel, let's come to you first again, because you'll probably give us a lot of facts with all your amazing research you do. Tell us about Tali and Fighter and how you think it's going to go.
Just want to say, Hayley, very cute cat, special guest on this edition. I'm actually not the Luxembourg expert on this video, so I don't know if I have heaps to contribute. Maybe I'll leave that to Craig and Hayley. Personally, I don't know. I don't quite understand the hype about this one. Like, I think, like, Luxembourg, to their respect, you know, for a micronation, have put together a very, I think, quite a good national final. Lots of, you know, solid songs. I think this is part of the solid group. Like, it's a bit quirky. I don't quite understand what the rest of the team and maybe the odds saw. Like, I just thought it was sort of middle of the pack. But, you know, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I love a little bit more of a controversial opinion to start. Craig, let us know your thoughts. Luxembourg, Tali, everything about it.
So my starting point here, I did the rankings, I collated them for the team, and I can say that Tali won, but Tali didn't have the most sets of 12 points by some margin. She got a lot of 8s and she got a lot of 10s, and I think that's probably about right. A lot of this is overall a very good song. I think it's well produced. I love the French, as you'd probably expect. It's very catchy, but it's not, there's nothing about it that overly leaps out as like, this is my favorite on the night. And I think that might be its undoing on the night, because I think it'll be everyone's sort of 3rd, 4th favorite. Like, even if she does good choreography, even if she's very likable and charismatic live, I don't know if it's got a moment to really propel it. But love a song in French, and I'll always back up for that. So,
Hayley.
Yeah, I really like it. And for about a week before, I was listening to those songs over and over, and it was her and another song that were my top. I liked the French in it as well. I do have to say, though, I think Luxembourg are going to likely qualify regardless of what they send. Because I think it's going to be made a big deal of them being back in the competition. It's a catchy song. She does appear quite young, but yeah, I'm not sure it's the right song to send this year.
I do agree that I think there's enough here in quality of the songs for them to get through, because it's going to be so much goodwill towards them. So unless they're in the semi of death, they should be okay. I love this. Maybe because it's a bit of a banger, and look, I am the demographic probably targeted towards this. Love the French. I love it. I really love the production around it. I love that it can give moments. I think without having that true one main moment is kind of the overall, I think, impression of the song. I think it would do well for Luxembourg to go with something with a bit of French. I think people would be looking for that. The average viewer on the night, brand Luxembourg, and what their expectations will be. So I think, though, the more I've listened to it, it's kind of like, you've really got to bring this on stage. We've all seen these bangers that a pop girlie comes along and can't quite deliver it, and it falls so flat. It just goes nosedives, and it just feels like nothing compared to like how well it sounds in the studio. But if you get it right, ooh, it's good. So I personally love it, but yeah, I really got to see the live before, I guess, deciding if it's great for Eurovision or not. If she can perform it, it would be.
Small thing, I would love for her to translate all the English into French, because obviously I'm an English native speaker, but I understand the French, and the French lyrics read to me as like kind of normal and comprehensible, and the English lyrics are really awkward, I think. And so I'm just like, put it all in French, because I think half the audience won't understand it, and I think the French just sounds a bit more natural. Maybe native French speakers are about to roast me in the comments, but that's how I feel.
Fantastic. Well, look, the second favorite with the team, but the favorite in the odds at the moment, not by a huge amount, is Crick with Drowning in the Rain. This is obviously a very different song here. Craig, I'll come back to you. What are your thoughts on this?
So this is an Elsie Bay number, and I'm not normally an Elsie Bay guy. And now I'm faced with the terrifying prospect that maybe I do actually like Elsie Bay's songwriting, and I just don't like Elsie Bay, which is a bit of a sad thing to realize, because I think she's great. But this works. I think it's got more of a clear concept, and I think it's better structured than Elsie Bay's numbers she sent to Norway. She's really gone in for the sort of Bond vibe, and like the whole thing flows reasonably well. It has high points where if Crick can sing live, they will really, lift this up. And overall, I think I'm perhaps not as hot on the Luxembourg national final as you guys are, but I think this is the best number, and I think this is the one that they should send at the end of the day. I enjoy it. I think it's good.
Hayley?
Yeah, it definitely is the song they should send. I think so far with some of the national finals, we've heard, I hate using the word silliness, but there's a few silly songs getting around, and this to me stands out as sort of like a serious ballad. It's a beautiful song. I have looked her up. She can sing, which is good. And I really see this doing so well at Eurovision as a possible top 10. That's how confident I am of it. I know, big call, big call.
Wow, you heard it here first. Samuel, are you as excited as Hayley is about this?
Maybe not as excited, but I do definitely think great. I do think it is my personal favorite as well. Like, I actually think it reminds me a bit of what Estonia sent last year, but actually better. And to be fair, Hayley, Estonia did come top 10 last year, so maybe Hayley does have a point thinking about it. All I can add is I think from a historical perspective, I think it'd be great because Luxembourg, they historically did so well, sending those, big power female ballads, Anne-Marie David, Vicky Leandros. What a great way for Luxembourg to come back into the contest by bringing a genre that they've done so well in. And I'm not convinced that Luxembourg can escape the semi, given, sort of perhaps some neighbourly voting and all that. But if they do, I can definitely see if this is their entry, the jury really eating this up in the final, like with Estonia last year. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I think for this song, like here, I get it and I like it and I respect it. Here, I feel nothing for this. I feel nothing. And the Elsie bass, it's just not my bag. I just don't like that kind of genre. It doesn't work for me. And so I don't know, like I can respect it. And I think it could be one of those ones when I hear it live, I could get chills and change my mind about it. And then, yes, if it can escape the semi, it would have jury appeal for sure. But look, maybe I'm just a bit basic and go for a pop banger, and this is just not doing it for me. But obviously, it is for others, so you can't have blind spots just because you're not a fan. Nothing for this. Is from the rest. These are two top favorites. Third in both the Aussievision votes and in the odds is Naomi with the French song. Does anyone have any strong feelings about that one?
I'm a little bit concerned she might get a bit of stage fright. She's only 16.
Oh.
Or is it 15?
Yeah.
16.
So
She's
she's
very
16.
young.
Yeah. Oh, she's the one that was 15 and we're turning 16, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's a
okay, that's
beautiful
pretty good.
song.
That's
I
okay.
think it's a nice song. I like it. I like the French lyrics again, but I'm worried that the thing I like most about it is the fact that it is in French.
Yeah.
And that is not usually a good sign for the actual song. I think I like the novelty of the fact that it's in a different language. And so I worry that this one may not deliver live, but it's nice. I enjoy it. I've listened to it more than the other ones, I'd say.
And just the last one we'll touch on from Luxembourg is Joel Marquis with his song. Craig, you had some feelings about this one.
I think this is going to win. I think perhaps I should play my cards here. I don't hate the Luxembourg national final this year, but probably the meanest thing I can say about it is there's something very German about it, in that it's kind of just like very middle of the road, almost aggressively so. And this is like, you know, a good-looking guy. He's going to show up. He's got a big voice. It's got the right like rises and falls. It's quite anthemic, and I can just sort of see this one pipping it, and then, you know, coming 10th in the semi-final or something and just slipping through. But like, I think it's just got something.
Samuel, any thoughts?
No, I mean, it is very anthemic. When I first listened to it, you know, it did sort of catch my attention a bit, but then like listening to all the others, as I said, I think it's a solid national final. Great, Luxembourg is returning and putting up a great show. But I definitely think again, we should be hoping that Crick wins, but maybe Craig, you know, has some feeling in his waters that we don't know about. Yeah.
And interestingly, in the Aussievision votes, for those who know them, Liv and Kyriakos gave this 12 points. They don't often have the same 12 points, which kind of did make me kind of go, oh, okay. Because maybe sometimes Kyriakos loves something a bit like, you know, I'm like, that's not going to do well. And then it does. And then it does always do well. So you might be onto something, Craig. All right.
Maybe they're just winding you up so that, you know, you could talk about them in this video.
All right. Well, let's choose a winner. Hayley, who is going to win for Luxembourg this week? Crick. Samuel?
Crick.
And win Craig?
Want Crick, think Joel.
I have to say, I think Crick will probably win, but Joel just behind. And I think Tali with Fighter might fall a bit flat. All right. Well, look, we've gone through Ireland and Luxembourg in great detail, so we'll leave the rest. We know Norway's happening with Kano coming back, but we can talk about them leading up to their grand final, because no doubt they'll get through.
Yes,
super sure they will. And Lithuania is happening this weekend too. So thank you so much for your insights. We'll see who's picked the right winner and who favorites flop and who's end up winning. So thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we'll catch you all later. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
See ya.